resume. You were in Fallujah, for God's sake. Help me understand how someone who calls out the outward assignment of blame can be such a supporter of a president who does nothing but pass the buck, lie, finger point, shirk responsibility. Tell me how you can support someone with your background, someone like that.
Bill Maher versus Dan Crenshaw. What happens? Toe to toe. What would you think would happen between these two? Maher is known to go off the rails. If you remember that video that I did a while ago, I'm not sure if you've seen it. It's where he goes up against Ben Shapiro. It's pretty unbelievable, and he gets pretty worked up. I'll put a link to it at the end of this video. But I want you to see footage from this interview that they do and watch how they both handle it. Watch how they both interact. I'm going to break down some of the strategies they use. And at the end, I'm going to tell you one thing that you can learn from Crenshaw, which is one of the reasons that I think he has been so successful in kind of growing his popularity within the Republican Party and within the whole kind of new, everyone wants him on the news. So his kind of, I don't know what you call that, political fame is rising too. And I think it's because of one trait that you're going to be able to use too once I teach you and show you exactly what it is. It's not easy to master, but it's something that you can be conscious of to improve, where most people think, oh, it's just something completely out of their control. So watch some of this back and forth, and then we'll dive in.
Congressman, thank you for doing this. I know you've done much better things for this country. 5 tours you did overseas. But thank you for your service in calling out victim culture. We both share this disdain for victim culture and for lots of stuff, trophy syndrome. I hope I have some credibility with you.
So when I first saw this, I thought that Maher was being sarcastic. But because typically victim culture is something that Republicans go after Democrats for playing the victim and always looking for handouts and things like that. But he actually thanked him. And that's one of the things I've said in all my videos of Bill Maher. I actually think that he's pretty open-minded. He doesn't just take all the side of the Democratic Party or just take all the thinking from one specific set of beliefs. Like, he thinks for himself and puts together his own thoughts. And so he started out by complimenting Crenshaw with an honest compliment that kind of goes in the face with a lot of the stuff that his party, his Democratic Party, goes for. So I actually give him a lot of props about it. At first I thought he was just doing that to establish rapport and then was going to come over top and start coming at him, kind of the way he did in the Shapiro interview. But he really didn't. He just said this as an honest thank you and to honestly give out his thoughts and compliments. So that definitely shows a lot of confidence and gets a lot of people on your side when they hear that you're taking that kind of a stance versus immediately attacking like people probably expect.
I mean, it sounds to me like you're fully agreeing with President Trump on this when everybody else disagreed with him. And, and if you're saying that you wish that travel restriction had been more extreme, okay, fine. I mean, you apparently had the foresight back then, but when nobody else did. But the fact is, you know, if Joe Biden was in charge at that moment, he's already said he wouldn't have done it. He criticized it at the time. Nancy Pelosi actually proposed legislation to stop it.
One of the things I want you to be aware of is just how incredibly hard it is to talk over somebody when you're video conferencing or when you're on Skype. It's unbelievable. Like, you see that little clip, you can see Maher tries to interrupt him like 10 different times within this short little clip, and it's almost impossible. Another thing that you'll realize on these clips where people are teleconferencing is the importance of the quality of your voice. Now, who knows whose voice is really stronger in real life? But Maher clearly has a much better microphone, and Crenshaw doesn't. And I don't think there's any excuse for Crenshaw not to be using a good microphone. Even if he's traveling, there's $40 microphones that you can pack up that are the size of a baseball that you can use, that if you know you're going on a show, get some good audio. It really has a huge impact on the way you're perceived. And so for you, if you're doing any video conferencing at home or any teleconferencing, I'd highly, highly encourage you just to get a little external mic that you plug in. It's super easy to use, makes you sound so much better, and makes you sound like you've got your things in order, even if you maybe don't. And another thing about voice, if you don't have a confident voice, if you don't speak in a strong, deep, deliberate way, people are going to discount the things you say. And this isn't a video about a deep voice, but if you want to learn how to have a powerful voice that people listen to, I've got another YouTube video right here you can click on, and I'll talk to you about it there.
I don't understand, why someone with your resume, you were in Fallujah, for God's sakes. Would you want someone, a commander, to say that to you, to blame everybody else?
I can't defend everything. He doesn't have the same style as I do. I don't consider him my spiritual guide by any means. But you know, Let me tell you a quick story. When I was blown up, sitting in my hospital bed, President Obama was doing the rounds at Walter Reed, just like President Trump does now, and just like President Bush did before him. It's a really neat thing. It's a really interesting connection that the president gets with these wounded active duty soldiers that is never publicized. And even though I may have disagreed with so many levels with President Obama, I made sure to get up, and I was excited. I was genuinely happy, and to shake that man's hand and have him sign the American flag on my wall. And even though we disagree on political things, and I think I would like us to get to that point with this president as well.
So what can we learn from this video of Crenshaw? I thought this was going to be much more heated and much more dynamic, but it wasn't. And that was actually a good thing. It was a civil conversation between two people who have a different set of beliefs. Who knew that it didn't have to end with someone calling someone a dummy and neither person bending even 5% just to show their resolve in their beliefs? It's so ridiculous. What did Crenshaw do? He keeps his cool. He has no emotional reactivity, even when Maher asks questions that are intentionally set up to get a rise out of him. It's not Maher's fault. That makes for good TV. This probably didn't do nearly as well as what they hoped because it was so calm. What does well? The R. Kelly interview where he gets out of his chair and is screaming and yelling and throwing things. That's what's engaging. This is not that engaging, but it shows competence and authority and social status when you can keep your emotions intact and only express them when it serves you. So what you can do in the future is next time you feel like your emotions are getting a little out of control, realize that you can control those and realize when they're getting out of control, almost always it's not serving you. When your emotions take the lead, you come across as weak because you can't control it. You're out of control. The person that said that to you, you place on a pedestal and you think have higher status because the classic truism within social interaction is people only react to those people who have higher social status than them, or at least the same social status. So when people get a rise out of you and you lose control of your emotions, what you're subcommunicating is I think you have higher social status than me. I place you higher than me. I probably have low status, probably don't need to pay me much respect. That's literally what you're saying when you show an emotional outburst that's not calculated and it's not something that was planned. You should show emotion when the time is right, but when it's not, you should not show it, and you need to develop the ability to do it. And the way to do that is just to practice. Become aware that you can do that the first time your emotions try to take you on a crazy car chase. You're not going to be able to just shut them off. But once you become aware of that, you'll slowly gain more and more control until the end goal is someone says something super offensive to you and you just have no reaction. It doesn't have an impact on you and you're cool. And what does that show? Unfortunately, what does that show? It shows that you're higher status than the person trying to get a reaction out of you, which is a win-win. Now, here's that video of Ben Shapiro. This one is phenomenal. I think this is my most highly viewed video ever. I think it's coming up on like 5 million views. If you haven't seen this is two pros going at it. Highly suggest you click on that and I'll talk to you about it.
It is, really? I needed 600 officers to protect me at Berkeley. Yes, it's an elephant and an elephant.